3, 2, 1, go!
Hey everyone, welcome back to Schmoedown. Small show today, but as you can see, White is not here, but I'm joined by my partners, Sean and Alison. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, man.
Doing great. How are you, Ben?
Doing well. Looking forward to getting into this one. This is going to be a fun show because we're talking about the neat success herself. Marisol McKee, is that how you say it?
Yep, Marisol McKee. Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about her because I think she's just one of the biggest badasses competitors that there is, I think, right now for sure.
Definitely.
To not only strip Ethan Irwin of the belt, but to then defend it in her first, she'd done obviously with like the live match, but the taping, but then actually being in like the live streaming pay-per-view and crushing it again just to defend and being the first female singles champion and the first female singles champion to defend. I think it's awesome.
I mean,
I think so too.
You were saying, we agree, she hasn't had the longest career, but she might have the most important and the most incredible in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember if she came in all of that season or only halfway through. But if she came in halfway through, she didn't play all that much.
Right. No, she didn't, because I remember when we had her on the draft and stuff like that, when we were doing the drafting and stuff, and it took her a while to build up to where she is now. But one of the things I like about her is the fact that she reminds me of Rachel Cushing, but to me, she's just more power. To me, if I have to look at power and the way that she owns everything, I would have to go after, of course, Lady Justice, because of the way that she carries herself, the way that she's able to talk crap and also back it up at the same time. And then also, too, the way she defends her belt is just phenomenal. And then also, too, another thing that I really liked when it comes down to, when it actually comes down to the competitiveness of her and things like that, I really liked how she just turns into the Terminator pretty much and just keeps on going. And then even whenever she was trying to compete for the belt, she stumbled in the first round, and then when she got into the second round, that's when she was really starting to dominate and finding her place within the championship match. So that's something that I really liked.
Yeah, absolutely. She corruption kind of, when the draft happened and they traded and that whole thing that went around, and now you kind of have Shannon Barney, getting to prove show everyone that she was right in making the choices that she made to get Marisol on corruption. And now she has, you got Kalinowski with the IG, you got Marisol with the singles champion. So are they gonna go all the way into teams and knock out, take Shazam out, and now she's double belted, which would then be even more incredible to see? Who knows? But I mean, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Well, like Leo says, thank you, Leo. She came in last August, so really she's only been at this a little over a year. This is damn impressive. She and Adam made a team last year. They crushed it. They didn't quite make it, but they were onto something. This year, and Adam won. Adam took everyone by storm last year.
Right.
This year it's Marisol's time, and she is crushing.
An incredible singles records of 7-1 in her first year or so of being in the league. I think that's just a feat in and of, and they weren't all easy wins too. Like, that's the thing, is I think sometimes you get some of these people who come in kind of like, the Kevin Smith, the celebrity, some of these celebrities that come in and get certain shots at things that they're not necessarily beating the biggest, baddest, best players.
No.
Whereas you have Marisol is, going up against, one of her losses is, Paul Oyama. Like, Paul Oyama's no slouch,
Right.
and so, I mean, that's her one loss is right now is Paul Oyama, other than her team's losses with Deception. So she's played tough people. Janine's, no slouch, and then to beat Ethan Irwin, for the title match, for the belt, and then to beat you, it's like she's not had an easy rise at all, or an easy journey that some people have had to get those title shots.
Exactly. That's what I was telling Ben before we started. I said, if you look at everybody that was climbing up that ladder to try and compete, she had to dig her way up to the battlefield and pretty much prove herself. And she has. She, like you said, she dominated up against Janine the Machine, which is a hard thing to do. Janine is a dominant player, and she goes past her. Then she goes over to the next match, and she dominates in that. Whenever she's climbing up through the ladder and everything, she's doing a fantastic job of what she's doing. I have a feeling that we're going to see more of her. I think she's going to have a bigger career than what she has right now. I can just tell just the way she's dominating inside the Schmoedown, and also too, like you mentioned before, of how hard it is to compete against other players, and then how she goes ahead and just moves forward, becomes like this Terminator kind of being, where she's just going off of every question, has a perfect round and stuff like that. And even whenever she went up against Video Drew is also a big competitor too. When you look at them side by side, and especially with that one match, they both wind up having a perfect round one. And then in round two is when Video Drew stumbles a little bit with the SNL questions, which is very hard to do, which I give Video Drew. I commend her for picking that category, because that's actually hard as hell to do. But when you look at those two competitors side by side, they're going back and forth with each other. They're both evened out on the defense and the offensive line as well. And then, of course, with Janine as well. I mean, these are just dominant women in the Schmoedown, and it's just awesome to be able to see women taking into the Schmoedown and actually kicking ass.
Yeah, and kicking ass against good competitors. Like kind of last week when we were talking with Video Drew, and she had made the comment that, there's been a lot of putting these female competitors against each other and not against their male counterparts. And it's, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I guess I get why. I mean, I don't get it. I think that if you're in the league, you should be able to go up against someone, and no matter who, what, where, sex, origin, whatever, like, it shouldn't matter. You're there to prove yourself. So you need to go up against the biggest and the best to get to where you need to be. So, some people getting kind of more of an easier ride based off of the fact that it is a female, or that they want to keep pitting these like female competitors against each other, when in reality, Marisol can beat anybody that you put in front of her, it seems like right now. She's so like just honed in on her craft and just doing what she's doing. I mean, to be a fly on the wall for the study sessions that she sits in I think would be incredible.
I think so too. And also too, I just want to point this out as well. I feel like that she's comfortable in what she's doing, because I've seen where people would actually panic over the fact that they missed a question. With her, she just goes on ahead, she fumbles a little bit, then she picks herself back up again. She doesn't let that one question eat her up. She just focused, like you said, she's dialed in, she's focused in, and then when you're least expected, that's when she starts taking over. And once she's dialed in, that's dangerous. That's like feeding Jaws.
Yeah.
And she's just being dominant all over. And I love that about her. I like how she owns it. I like how she's just dominant and calm and collective. She's like, yeah, I missed that question, but you know what? I can follow it up with the next question and probably get through.
And then now I get the rest of round one right and knock it out of the park and go into round two and don't have to spin for, like she's, and even looking at her with her team's career right now, Adam Collins is a great player. I don't think he's the strongest one on that team. I think that Marisol is kind of the A to his B, and I think they play off each other very well with it. But like you say, Marisol misses a question, she moves on, she can handle it. you start, as Adam, it almost feels like watching deception matches. Once Adam starts missing one or two here or there, the kind of the implosion just starts.
Well, here's the thing. As of right now, total points in a season as of 2021. As of right now, Marisol has 135, only behind William Bibiani, Ethan Irwin, and Adam Collins. Now, you can say, yeah, but he's been playing shorter than some of those. But, damn, that's a lot of points. I mean, yeah, what do you guys think overall? If she defends it one more time, do you think we could put her up in that A of all time category? Do you guys think that?
I think she definitely could make be in contention for one of the, like, a GOAT if she's able to defend again. I think whoever she ends up going up against is that it's going to be a real battle. My money right now is on, between Dan and Griffin Newman's in a final for the singles tournament. And I think both of those are a force to be reckoned with. I think I've said it to you all the time, Ben. I don't understand why people just keep sleeping on Griffin Newman. And, I think something like that would be nerve-wracking for me to see Marisol defend up against. But, again, she's kind of, she's kind of proven everyone wrong up to this point. So why not do it again? And then, it'd be great to see her and Merle in a finals and spectacular. And then now you really have beaten the GOATs. What's next at that point, if that ends up happening.
Most definitely, because like you said, Griffin is a great player. And also, too, he's also another one that is calm when it comes down to missing questions and then coming back again. And I think the back and forth between her and Lady Justice would be perfect. And I would like to actually see that. Also, too, I would love to see Dan and her face off against each other. And I think that would be a really good, perfect match to see two. I consider her a giant, to be honest with you. When I look at her, I consider her a giant of the Schmoedown. And Dan is also on that giant list as well. And to see two competitors that are great in the defense and offensive side, I would love to see that play out as well. But Griffin is one of those players that is like the tortoise in the hare. He's slowly builds, and he's getting there to the finish line, and basically everybody else is just racing past him and stuff like that. But he's going to finish the race no matter what. And I feel like Griffin is just a great top-inch player, to be honest with you.
And I think we're going to get a preview kind of with King Arthur versus Deception in the teams tournament. Yeah. So, we can kind of see where everyone's head at, because I know it's team. So it's when you break it down, it is a different division, a different skill set needed in teams than you would in singles. But at least there we might be getting a bit of a preview to kind of see how the two of them do up against each other, and maybe seeing how that goes, how that ends up happening, what the next study sessions are like for Marisol going forward.
Here's something interesting, and I didn't thought of this. Last spectacular, it was new school versus old school. It was Dan versus Adam Collins. And I mean, wait, who won? Dan won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Dan won
that one.
Yeah.
It could be Dan versus Marisol. Someone called her that A player in that team. Do you think Marisol could beat Dan where Adam couldn't?
I mean, I think if there's one thing I've learned from my short time in Schmoedown, it's anything is possible. And anything is possible. Bateman losing for Betty. I mean, that is the epitome of an upset, because when you look at a match like that, the stuff that Paige missed on, are rookie mistakes to kind of miss on, like especially like airport versus airplane. Like they're not the same, writing
Right.
in an extra word for what it's asking for a trilogy, but it's asking for what trilogy. So like making mistakes like that and then still being able to win and come out on top because he missed a 3-point question, so it's one of those things like that's your epitome of an upset. And so anything can happen. And now you're looking at if that ends up being a finals and spectacular, I do think it's a possibility that Marisol could defend, but she's going to have to, it's going to be an uphill battle, but there's also a chance that Dan has an off day. And I hate
Yeah.
saying that because I love Dan
Right.
Murrell, but it's not something that hasn't happened before either. Everyone can have a bad look at Josh Horowitz. That just went terrible for him in New York, right? Like, was he prepared? I'm sure he was. The questions just didn't go his way. And you get opponent's choice and someone just preys on your weakness with something that they're strong with. And that's what you end up with. So, is there a chance? There's always a chance, but there's also always a chance that someone shits the bed too.
Right. Perfect example is Mark Riley with one of the questions from the past and everything as well. When it comes down to, I want to say, I think it was a Friday the 13th question. He got it mixed up and he wound up missing that question. And then next thing you know, that's what caused him the game.
Right.
And he kicked himself in the ass and everything and was eating up by it. But like you said, everybody can actually have a bad day at the office, and on any given day, someone can lose, and that's what happened with Riley. That's also what could happen with Dan in the future if that's the case. But we also seen when he's on fire. We also seen whenever he loses a match, but he shrugs it off and he moves on to the next game. He doesn't let it bother him, and he just goes on ahead, tries to be the dominant one, and tries to do his best. And I think that's the same way with Marisol, though, too. She just goes on ahead. She doesn't take no crap from anyone. She's climbing up that ladder, and yeah, she might lose a game or whatever, but she doesn't let that bother her because there's always the next game. There's always the next big bad that she can go ahead and face off against. And that's what she always
Right.
prepares herself for. Yeah, I won this match, but now I have to go and face the next person and everything now too, because there's always going to be someone bigger and badder than I am. So therefore I have to prepare twice as hard for the next match. And that's one of the hardest things about holding onto the belt is the fact there's always someone that's going to come at her. And like you said, anyone can lose on any given day. And there could be a chance that she winds up losing the belt on the next round or whatever. But right now, she's dominant. She's on fire. She knows what she's doing. And even though she didn't have that many appearances, but just the appearances alone that we've seen, it shows that how much of a giant that she is in the future of Schmoedown.
Right.
I mean, look at who matched against Kevin Smith. That was a great match, right? I mean, and you're talking about Dan having a bad day. Did either of you see, I think it was our first collision, when Dan played against Andrew Guy. Did you guys see that?
No, I haven't watched that one. I need to kind of go back for that as well.
That is that is the definition of anything could happen to Dan. Because spoiler alert, he loses against Andrew Guy. And
Yeah, I remember that.
even Christian was surprised about that. You could see it
Right.
on his face.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Because at first, Dan looks like he has this in the pocket. He looks like that he has it. Then all of a sudden, that upset towards the end, that's when you see the disappointment in his face. You can definitely tell that he didn't have it like he thought he did. And therefore, that caused him to have an upset. And to me, that game was actually really hard and challenging for him to get through.
Right.
you
Yeah, I'll have to go
guys,
back and give that
I
one a
will
watch.
send you that match. I will send you that match. It's fun to watch. There's a little behind the scenes stuff, but it's a fun watch. Now, how important is Shannon being Marisol's manager? Do you think that plays a big part in that? In this?
I do. I think Shannon is a phenomenal manager. I love everything about her. I love what she's kind of brought to corruption. I love the promos that she cuts. I love everything about it. And I think that she and Marisol are able to, she knows how to play into the strengths of her players, you
Yeah.
know, and she knows how to help them get out of their head. She knows what needs to be kind of said. Do I wish, like, as much as I love her, do I wish that she didn't manage both of them in for the live show? Yeah, I kind of wish we maybe had more of like a Kalinowski there for Chance with, his corruption teammate. But I also understand her choice in doing so, I guess. But I think Shannon and what she brings to the table for Marisol as a manager and her knowledge of things, I think is part of the reason Marisol is so strong. Is, Shannon knows how to kind of run her team and run her faction and make sure everyone's strengths are on display at all times, and how to use them while also, not worrying too much about like any weaknesses, and forgetting, that because there isn't really, when Marisol's on, there is no weakness. Like she's a
Right.
monster.
I agree. And I was just thinking about Shannon though too as I was driving, as I was listening to her defending Marisol defending her belt, and I'm thinking to myself that Shannon is a very tough and badass faction whenever it comes down to corruption. And as a manager, I feel like the personalities of corruption with Shannon and Marisol is just top notch. They have that
Mm-hmm.
chemistry where they're both badasses. They both come in to dominate and destroy everything. They're both monsters in this thing. And you need to have a manager that has that balance your of what you have for your team. And to me, she balances Marisol out really well. And I can
Mm-hmm.
actually understand why Kalinowski might take a step back a little bit. It's like, you know what, Shannon, you got this. I'm gonna let you take off Marisol, and then I'll go on ahead and focus on my other players that we have in corruption. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like him having a step back and letting her be the main focus and the main drive for Marisol is just great.
Absolutely. I think that, look, if my dream in life at this point is to get a follow from Shannon Barney on Twitter, so if you're out there, because I just think I just want to be friends with her. Like she just looks like a good time. But she's no slouch, and she takes it seriously. I think that's
Right.
what's really important too, is is how seriously she's taking this. And it's kind of created this whole thing with these, and I know they're doing away with, the factions with next season because of how much, power specific factions have had, and just how much they've dominated. With, like, you have corruption being this just mega powerhouse of a faction that has just been dominating left and right. And I don't know how dominating they would be if it wasn't for Marisol being with them.
For sure. And I feel like this with Shannon taking it seriously, she's even more dialed into her character. Because remember when Harloff was making the announcements, he goes, "Oh, she looks pissed off. She looks like that she's gonna rip someone's soul out, basically."
Mm-hmm.
And I like how dialed in and how dedicated she is towards her character, and she gives that threatening kind of sense of "Don't piss me off, or else you're gonna be messing with or else my faction is coming after you." I love
Right.
the how she plays off of that narrative. I really feel like Shannon owns it, just like Marisol owns it, and I feel like them two being there, and then of course she's coming out with a freaking sword, and then you have Shannon who looks like she's pissed off at the world. These are like two people that you don't want to piss off at all. To be
Mm-hmm. And I think what works well with it too is Marisol's very quiet. Like she answers the questions. The
Mhm.
most, I feel like the most shit talking I've seen was leading up to the
Right.
match on Twitter, and the little Twitter feud that went back and forth between her and Chance. Chance has always been very loud. Um, Marisol is just this silent assassin. So you have someone like Shannon who, I don't want to necessarily say like speaking for her, but
Mm-mm.
or call it like a mouthpiece. But like Shannon backs up the game, and it plays in so well to the character work for what Marisol is doing as well as what Shannon's doing, that I think if the two of them can stay together, that's a powerhouse manager competitor duo all day long. that I would love to
for
watch.
sure.
So you, I think this is a pretty safe question. Do you see Marisol with Shannon next season?
I would hope so. I don't think that, as much as I like Kate, I don't think Kate could have done for Marisol on the Den what
Mm-mm.
Shannon's been able to do with her at Corruption at all. I mean, I
I
understand
agree.
why Kate wanted to have Marisol on the Den because she is a powerhouse, but I don't think Marisol would be where she was if she had stayed there.
Because it's two different levels of strategy, not only two different levels of strategy, but also two different personalities. And I feel like with Marisol, with the personality level of Shannon, Shannon has a way of getting that out of Marisol.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with Kate, and I love Kate to death, I just don't feel like that she'll be able to have that same drive and then getting that characteristic of Marisol out of her like Shannon does. Shannon gets her. She understands her from a personal level, it seems like, and she's able to get her to dial into things, especially when you look at tweets and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to talk shit all day long off of Twitter, but when it comes down to Brad Tax and Tastics, I'm going to focus in on the match because that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to talk crap on the set of Schmoedown or anything like that. I'm ready to compete. I did the Twitter, I did the tweets and stuff like that. Now it's time to take care of business. And that's what I feel like that she's dialed into. It's like, okay, fun and games, Twitter, life and everything else, Schmoedown. Nothing else matters. I don't care about the smack talking that got me over here. I'm here to take care of business. I'm here to kick ass and shoot bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. And that's what I get from get from her.
Yeah. And I get it's don't start no shit, won't be no shit kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's never coming from, I mean, maybe it is because I'm also still new back onto Twitter. So, but I always feel like whatever the shit talking is coming from Marisol or it's coming from Shannon, it's coming because someone else came at them first.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you want to play this, and then, and it turns into like a whole don't write checks that you can't cash kind of thing,
Right.
And I mean, the fact that the only loss Marisol has is Paul Oyama is insane. And so it's going to be, having, and then, the fact that there's all this pressure on her because now we got to look at it is who's putting more pressure on Marisol to defend at Spectacular. Is it us? Is it Marisol putting it on herself? I don't see like Shannon putting pressure on her, but you're wanting her to work and trying to, build her up. But, does she end up not defending because she starts getting into her own head? And we haven't seen that happen before, but now it's like she has to go back and defend again, and probably against one of the greatest players of all time. Like, how do you not get in your own head with that?
Exactly. It's like, now on the Beast, I'm the main boss here. I don't have to go digging through anybody. Now they have to come to me. And it's like, I'm the best. I'm the best of the best. And now I have this full on perceived thing in my head of what's going on in my head is like, no one can beat me. Then as soon as you have that whole entire thing, you can psych yourself out to the point where you start messing up on matches and stuff. But I have a feeling though we might not see that for a while. I want to say probably maybe 2 more matches or something. That's just my thing. But right now and everything, I see her as being calm and collect as anything. And also too, the way she answers questions is a classy way of answering questions. She's a smooth talker when it comes down to answering questions. And I love that about her. It reminds me of a little bit of Clark Wolf though too, in a sense, with the classiness of her answering questions and with that smoothness of her. But also too, kind of cool at the same time. But still, I love Marisol though.
Here's a question. In an alternate reality, how would a Marisol McKee do under management by a Clark Wolf?
I don't know if I could answer that question. I personally couldn't because I haven't watched a lot of Clark Wolf's matches, but maybe John has more of a idea.
What do you think, John?
Yeah. To be honest with you, Clark Wolf and her, I don't see them jiving up that much. Clark has a way of walking out, and the presence is just respectful. When it comes, and I'm not saying that Marisol don't have that respectfulness or anything. It's just a different persona in the way that she walks out and she owns the crowd, and the crowd is going wild. With Clark Wolf, it's like the classy wave and the parade kind of thing. People are clapping and cheering for it in a beauty pageant kind of thing. And then you have Marisol, who's everybody's just gun ho over. To be honest with you, I could see probably the Crusher in her being jiving up better, to be honest with you, because I feel like they have that powerhouse together where they're both powerful women. Versus Clark Wolf, not saying that she's not a powerful woman, it's just that two different levels of personality.
I like that. So, I mean, right now, Marisol is tied for second for most points in a single match behind Dan and Bibiani. In a single match, Marisol has earned 26 points against Ethan. Dan earned 27 points against Ethan. Dan who's M? I don't know who M is. So yeah, Marisol gets a lot of points in a round. In a match, I should say. That's damn impressive.
Yeah.
I mean,
she knows her shit. Like, I think that's kind of the coolest part about it. She really holds her own because she knows her shit. Like, she was a fan prior to coming into the Schmoedown. You know, she was a fan. She was in the different, she did her own stuff. She auditioned, but like, she was a fan, you know, and I'm sure she probably sat home watching these matches and watching people get questions wrong. And she's like, what the fuck? How do you not know that? You know? Cause like,
right.
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how she did it, but I'm assuming that's what I would do if I was as smart as she was with all of this. But, you know, to be able to watch someone go from being a fan and like literally someone just sitting at home watching the streams on YouTube or being a patron or however it was to auditioning to being the champ in you know, a year, like talk about, you know, a Cinderella story, I guess you could kind of say.
I mean, yeah, what's scary is I don't think we've seen her weakness yet, right?
No.
She hasn't. God.
But another thing, though, too, when you say about her weakness and not showing what her weakness is, I think that's what makes her even more powerful than what people give her credit for, because of the fact, even if it might not be a category that she knows and wants, she doesn't freak out over it. She just goes ahead and plays the game the way it needs to be played, and that's it. And if she winds up getting multiple choice off the wheel, she goes on ahead. She puts her multiple choice in there. If she gets it wrong, she gets it wrong. She doesn't freak out like if somebody, for instance, if you like horror, and she's hoping for that, and therefore, if that's her weakness, she doesn't freak out over that. She goes on ahead. She owns the fact that maybe she might not know that much, but she doesn't make the audience well aware of what her weaknesses are, which is also good because it also with her enemies though too, her competitors, it doesn't make her easy pickings or anything. It makes her that much dominant when it comes down to the wheel round, and also too when she answers regular questions though at the same time. So she doesn't freak out. She just feels calm. She's like, you know what? I'm just going to play this the way it needs to be played, and I'll go off of what the wheel is. And that's what I feel like that she does. She doesn't show any signs of weakness.
No, yeah, I don't. Absolutely. I mean, in her match against Janine, she spins opponent's choice and gets dance movies, you know, and still ends up beating Janine with opponent's choice. Like, right. Who the fuck studies dance movies? I don't know dance movies. Like,
I don't either.
Who, like,
me neither.
So, you know, to see, you know, she beats, again, opponent's choice, beats Vinnie Mancuso, Middle Earth, like an IG slice that she probably didn't put on the wheel, but to have Middle Earth is an IG slice. So in order for it to be on the wheel, it has to be put on by a competitor, right? So I don't know enough about what, you know, her choices would be with that, but again, just a Middle Earth slice, and then she dominates and still beat Vinny Mancuso. So she's gotten opponent's choice a couple of times,
Right.
And has
I like how
still
diverse she
crushed
is
it.
with her
Yeah.
films. Right. She's very diverse, which makes it even harder for people to come at her as well. Because of the fact that she knows different films in different categories, it's like, okay, what the fuck do I do? How do I go ahead and crush this person that actually shows no weakness? So it makes it now you actually have other factions that has to try and build up a strategy to try and take her down. And how do you build a strategy on something that she just feels like she's dominant, and she has this way of knowing everything within the genre, just about everything in each genre of movies. So it's like, how do we build something around that? And I like that.
And I think the big thing too is not, and I say with that, if you know the answer, you go for your 2 points, right? In round two. But I feel like with Marisol, she's not worried about checking down if she has to. Right. I think she has, not only is she a great player with her knowledge, I think she's great at strategy, and that's super hard to come by. There's people that can know everything under the sun, but if you're not strategizing, that's how you end up with, the Lon Dan match, where Lon just throws the answer out there thinking, because he was like, oh, I know this is him, this is what it is, and it ended up being wrong after, Dan was like, what the fuck, why is this such an easy question? And maybe it got into Lon's head. I don't know. Lon answered on an AMA that's literally what he thought it was. But if you always can shoulda, coulda, woulda all day long, if you check down, what would happen? And I think that's kind of the big thing, is knowing where you are numbers wise and checking down when you have to multiple choice and not being afraid to use it.
And also too, she goes fully committed even if she doesn't know the answer either. She'll go on ahead, she'll double down on the answer that she thinks she knows, and even if it's wrong, I can see it going into a wheelhouse. Even if she gets it wrong, like, okay, so if this question comes up again for somebody else, it gives me the opportunity to steal this question if it happens to pop up in a wheel round and everything. Yeah, I missed it, but what do we do? I can use this against somebody if I have to. So,
or even like now, it's like, I feel like she's someone who misses a question, she's never going to miss something within that genre again, and will just comes back and it ends up being, bigger, badder, stronger the next time.
Definitely.
Which is also scary.
It is. It definitely is. Because I think if I would have to play against Marisol, I think I would just lay down and play dead. Basically. I'm like, I'm done.
100%. There's no way. I would be, whoever ends up going against her at Spectacular, it has their work cut out for them, I think. There's no doubt about it. You can't go in thinking you're going to have an easy title shot against Marisol McKee. That's just not happening.
You know what though? Sorry, Ben. Go on ahead.
I know you guys wanted to meet Chrissy Newman. I kind of wanted to meet Paige. I want Paige versus Marisol. I think that would be really fun to watch.
I mean, it could be. I just don't think Paige has I don't think she's experienced. I don't think she's gotten, she's making too many rookie mistakes, right? Like, it shows that Paige is a rookie when she's competing, unfortunately, versus like a Griffin Newman. It doesn't show that he's a rookie when he's competing, right? Marisol is still, she's not technically a rookie, but when she was competing last year, she's not, any mistakes she made back then, she's not making anymore. And that's why she's risen to the top. Like, we could wish for, Paige to get there. And at one point, I think she can eventually, probably. I just don't see it being this season based off of the mistakes that she's made.
Right. And speaking of matches that I would like to see Kevin Smith's versus Lady Justice. I think that the way Kevin Smith's is, before he had to leave and everything, it reminds me of the way Marisol is playing. In a sense, I think.
Here's the thing. He doesn't do singles. He only does IC. And I don't think she shows any interest in doing IC.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, still, like a what if scenario, if she did decide to change things up, though, Because it's like, okay, well, I got the belt from the singles. I defended 6 or 7 times against everybody else. Yes, I lost, but let me try my luck in Inner Geekdom or the Star Wars stuff or something along those lines. And then she has to face off against Kevin Smith in Inner Geekdom. I think that would be just mind blowing, and seeing the caliber of things that she has to go through. Because I think here's the thing with Inner Geekdom. Inner Geekdom's a lot more challenging in a sense, because you have to know Harry Potter, you have to know your Lord of the Rings, you have to know your Star Wars. It's very spread out, and also too very hard and challenging. I think that if she wanted to, she'll go on ahead, say later on, I did my luck in the singles tournaments. I've done good. I succeeded in those. Let me try my luck over in Inner Geekdom, and then that might be where Kevin Smith might be at, and and they face off against each other. I would love to see a one-on-one or maybe an exhibition match against them two, facing off against each other, just to see the two powerhouses going up against each other.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That'd be it'd be interesting to see if Marisol does decide to branch out of the division and look into IG. I think but with the faction that she's on the faction with Kalinowski, like that's his jam. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason for her at this time to
right. I like how
look into any
respectful she
other
is of that
division.
too.
Yeah, it's like, this is where I'm at. This is my team. I'm on this team, and I'm in singles, and no one's the only other person that's touching IG is Chance Ellison,
Right.
and even then, he's done okay with it. But he's no Kalinowski. And then vice versa, you have Kalinowski's fantastic in IG, but has issues struggling in singles. Last year with how he was kind of KO'd out or TK'd, or I can't fully remember, but losing in the first round, I think, of the tournament last year for singles. So it's like, what's the point in coming back? But then he even said himself, when he did come back, that he's playing with house money. He already has a belt, so he's just here to help get the points. And if they get the points, great. If not, whatever. It's no sweat off his back, because Marisol's the champ right now. And that was before New York. But it's kind of just one of those things where Shannon, and I think that comes back to Shannon. Shannon knows everyone's strength, and she's not going to put Marisol in a position to weaken her in any way by making her do more than what she's needed to do at this time.
I agree with you. I think I don't see her in Inner Geekdom, if I'm being honest, and I definitely don't see her in Star Wars.
No.
I'm a casual fan of Star Wars. I know nothing about any of those questions like that. It sounds like gibberish to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Inner Geekdom stuff can be considered gibberish if you don't actually know Harry Potter inside out or Star Wars inside out. That's another thing that RB3 said. He said, I know Taki converters and stuff like that, but I don't know that much well in depth into what lightsaber makes another lightsaber. I don't know the makings of that. I don't know the ramifications of certain things within the Inner Geekdom stuff, which makes it even harder. And, I feel like Inner Geekdom is something that's, if I was to compete, I would just go with singles and everything. I wouldn't even consider Inner Geekdom. Even though I'm a huge comic book nerd and stuff like that, I still can't see myself doing that.
I don't know. I think that if, because I asked this question on the All Night Taco Stand show, because I asked when Bateman came in, I kind of asked, what are your thoughts on these players who do compete in these multiple divisions, and where it kind of goes. And like, Star Wars is its own thing because it's Star Wars. And in order to do Star Wars, you can't be a casual Star Wars fan to do Star Wars, right?
No.
Like there's no way. In order to do Inner Geekdom, it's one of those things where it's a niche of the general like Schmoedown kind of stuff. And it's very, it's very, what's the word I'm thinking? It's very specific, but I think it's more doable than Star Wars after the way that he kind of explained it, because what the movies are, what they're going to be looking for, what you need. And so you could put in the time and the effort to watch the movies, study, take your notes, do all the things that you would need to do, watch past matches. I think it's more doable to go from singles to inner geekdom. Not saying that it's achievable or it's easy by any means, because it's not. But it's something that I think if you already have singles in your wheelhouse, it's something that can be done. And then to be able to then, I always thought maybe it was a hindrance that like Chance might have been spreading himself way too thin by doing all three. But then you bring your IG into the singles division and you go up against Jeff Snyder, who gives you your IG wheel slice just to take it off the wheel so he doesn't have to do it. And then he goes out in this blaze of glory, throwing the tantrum that he throws and everything. And Chance ends up crushing it, So you bring in a skill set like that is something that can be really dangerous to bring into singles, I think, at some point.
That was an ugly match.
Yes.
It's like, why would you give the inner geekdom? Chance's inner geekdom. Why would you give him his wheelhouse?
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
True.
just, regardless of how you shoulda, coulda, wouldas with it, and or how you explain it, well, now it's off the wheel, so I don't have to do it. You can check down. You can do multiple choice. It's not. There's still so many other slices that are there that you could get. That the chances of you getting Wizarding World or Opponent's Choice, it's lower than getting something that you would be better with. So could I maybe see Marisol in an Inner Geekdom tournament? Probably. I think she has the skill set to bring to it, and it would only make her a better player, in singles, and bring another extra skill set to the table that could make her that much more dangerous.
Here's the thing. Yes, I think she can, but they don't need her to. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, no, for sure.
Like you said, they have Chance and they have KO. And KO right now is in the middle of a hot streak. So they need to keep playing him. But
yep.
Now, maybe she can. Maybe she can, who knows? Well, as we start to wrap up, any final thoughts about Lady Justice? Marisol?
Yeah, other than the fact that she's just a phenomenal player, she's a dominant monster. She is someone that is definitely going to be on the Mount Rushmore of the Schmoedown in the future. I can see that, even though right now she has, like you said, been maybe a short career right now. But going further, I can see her dominating even further to the point where she's on that Mount Rushmore with Roka, JTE, or Riley. I could see her being on the face of Mount Rushmore. And then also, too, she's just a dominant, kick-ass player. She knows what she wants to do. She knows how to handle the game. She's relaxed. She's calm. She's the calm before the storm, basically. And whenever she ends up having that tension in there and she holds on to it and she releases it, you better watch out, because that's when she's really threatening. But what about you, Alison? What can you say about her?
I think everything you're saying is right. I think that she still has a little bit of a ways to go to be considered one of the GOATs, and I just think that's because of time. I think her time has been. She's still doing amazing. She's crushing it, and it's so great as, especially with all the previous issues that female competitors have received, all the hate that's kind of gone on, and the sexism within it, and everything, that she's just kind of not even coming out as like a woman, but like also a woman of color that's just killing it, which is insane. I
love the diversity.
100%, and it's what the Schmoedown has clearly been needing for a long time. But with that all being said, I think that she's only going to get better, and she's only going to keep dominating. And even if she does lose at Spectacular, I wouldn't say that it hinders her in any way as a competitor. I think that, she's going to be whoever she ends up going up against is going to be a tough person to beat. It's tournament season, so it's going to be an uphill battle to defend. And it's not that that's counting her out. It's just, she may be going up against someone who's super experienced in it, or she may be going up against someone who may not be experienced in the Schmoedown, but is a powerhouse. And that is that can be nerve-wracking, and you hope for her to kind of dominate still. But I could see her eventually, as long as she keeps going with it, becoming one of the greatest of all times, no doubt. I just think it's too early to say she's won right now, but she's on that trajectory to get there for sure.
Considering how much time she actually spent in the Schmoedown, the fact that we're even talking about it so early in her career is incredible. It's amazing. Only good stuff in her future. I can't wait to see what comes next for her.
I mean, I would call her at this point, just because, I mean, again, I'm still new, but I would call her player of the year at this point, especially if she's able to go spectacular and defend. There's no reason why she wouldn't be player of the year at that point.
Agreed. Because if you look at it, though, with the things that she's doing now with the belt and holding on to it, that's definitely a player of the year nominee, to be honest with you. I can't think of anyone right now that would be on top of my list other than her.
And no one this season has defended it other than her.
No.
You know, Dan, well, I think Dan defended it once, maybe. But he lost it to Dan, you know, loses it to Ethan. Ethan then loses it to Marisol, you know, and then she actually holds on to it. You know, that's insane. And can only, like, I think she's only going up. 100%.
Yeah. I don't see her going anywhere anytime soon except up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to wrap up. So, Sean, where can everyone find you?
Okay, so everyone, you guys can follow me at Movie Lovers Unite on Facebook, at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite over there. Of course, you guys can go on ahead, follow me underneath the same brand name on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. I also teamed up with Two Blur Girls podcast. We're actually doing a charity event with Cincy. All proceeds go to the children of St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So go ahead, get yourself a Cincy. All proceeds go over there. But if you choose to do so, if you want to, we do appreciate it. If you want to donate to our show, all you have to do is go ahead, go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Unite Movie Lovers Podcast. And that's how you can donate $5 to $10 over there. Then, of course, you guys can go ahead and get an audio podcast episode of our show, wherever you guys get your major podcasts from. Then, of course, you guys can go ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter, and then Movie Lovers Unit 001 on TikTok. And, of course, if you want to be on the show, if you're a sponsor and want to sponsor us or be on the show, you just go ahead and reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. That's everywhere that you can reach me at, and I do appreciate being able to talk about Marisol.
All right, nice. And how about you, Alison? Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Alison Salamoni. You can find me on Instagram, Alison F. Salamoni. That's really kind of it. You can find me watching some Schmoedown stuff. Streaming the new Ben Bateman jam, Happiness. If you haven't done that yet, you need to get on it. That song it's a real bop. Yeah, that's really it. I'm really stoked to chat Marisol and be here and be a voice. And so awesome just to watch these badass women. We had Drew Grant last week. We talked to Marisol McKee this week. We got another badass with next week. And I mean, it's just some fierce competition.
And I have an idea for the week after that I can't wait to bring it up to you guys. And you guys can find me at my Twitter at @Matt_Rainy. Every Saturday here on Mount Schmoedown. Every Saturday on Get Shreddy. Every Monday on Recapping Space and Time. Every Thursday on Shooting the Breeze. Yeah, and wherever else. I'm all over this place. So from everyone on Mount Schmoedown, this is Ben, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
See you next time.